Welcome back to another video on Influential Sports. Make sure you leave a like to the on the video, subscribe to the channel, and let's get right into it. NFL and conference championship round took place this weekend, and the first game, my Eagles, we played the Commanders. I live streamed this. I live streamed my live reaction to it the entire game. It was a pretty good stream. It was a pretty fun stream. All right, let's dive straight into it. The Commanders got the ball first. They had a really solid drive. They went down the field. They had the ball for about a good 6-7 minutes, I'd say, but it ended in a field goal. Then now the Eagles hit this thing where we had multiple different people return the ball. First, it was Saquon to start the night off. He had a 40-yard return to get us to the 40, and then he had a 60-yard run for a touchdown right after that. The Eagles will go up 7-3. And that's how the game started. The Eagles was up 7-3. And then throughout the game, the story of it was Zach Ertz stayed open a lot for Washington, which didn't end up mattering in the end. But he was open a lot and made a lot of big plays. But then Cooper DeJean, Reed Blankenship, they came up big. They have forced a fumble. Cooper DeJean forced a fumble. Reed Blankenship recovered. And then the Eagles to score off for that. They started at like the 48. Then Saquon to get another touchdown. The Eagles went up 14-3. Then it looked like the Commanders was going 3-and-out, but then they did a fake punt, and that was an exciting play. I think that was a great play by the Commanders. I wasn't surprised when they did it, but I know the Eagles was definitely caught off guard when they did that. And then the Eagles was able to hold the Commanders to a 4th-and-10, forcing them to kick a field goal on the drive, and it ended up being 14-6. And then after that, the Eagles, they get the ball back, and they actually don't do nothing on the next drive. They end up having to punt the ball away. The Commanders get it, and they do score a touchdown. Terry McLaurin had a touchdown. It was a 34-yard touchdown. He broke a few tackles, and then it was 12-14, but they failed on the 2-point conversion. But after that, the Eagles just took over the game. They ended up going up 27-12. And then the defense, they was on one. I mean, everybody was just having a great game at this point. A.J. Brown was making some great catches. He had been cold the first 2 playoff games. For the Commanders, Zach Ertz was still wide open and making some great plays. But then at halftime, the Eagles, they were up 27-15. It was just a dominating first half. Like the Eagles, they just outmatched the Commanders in that first half. And then Kendall Gainwell, he ended up leaving with an injury. He had a concussion, so prayers up to him. Hopefully he heals up soon. And then open up the second half, both the Eagles both Jalen Hurts and Jaden Daniels took sacks that ended up costing them yards and some big plays. But then A.J. Brown, he stayed hot, and Goddard had a solid game as well. Like really everybody for the Eagles, they were just on firing on all cylinders. Jalen Hurts had multiple rush touchdowns. It was mainly tush pushes, but they ended up taking over the game. They went up 34-15. Then the Commanders did score to make it 23-34. Got a 2-point conversion to Olamide Zaccheaus. Then they made it interesting, making it an 11-point game. But then after that, the Eagles were going to score 21 straight. They scored 3 more touchdowns after that. The Eagles ended up winning the game 55-23. It wasn't, and even though it was a blowout, it was still some entertaining moments. It was a very eventful game, and there's some stuff that we definitely got to talk about, addressing both teams. Now for the Eagles, Jalen Hurts went 20 of 28, had 246 yards and a passing touchdown. Then 10 carries, 16 yards, and 3 rushing touchdowns. So he had 4 touchdowns total. For some reason, if he goes over 250 yards passing, the team is cursed. But whenever he's under that, this team is winning. So I don't know how that works. But Jalen Hurts had a phenomenal game today. As far as A.J. Brown goes, he had 6 catches, 96 yards, and a touchdown. It's the best game of the playoffs so far. You had Dallas Goedert with 85 yards, Devontae Smith with 45 yards. Barkley, he had 15 carries, 118 yards, a 7.9 average, and 3 touchdowns. Then the Eagles set the record for most. Well, they tied the record which Chicago had set in 1940 against Washington, ironically, in the conference championship of most rushing touchdowns in a game at 7. The Eagles tied that, and it happened once again against Washington. And then Will Shipley, a guy from Clemson, if you've been following my page, you know Clemson, that's my team. But Will Shipley, he finally got to rock out. He was making some big plays, offense, defense, special teams. He had a total of 165 all-purpose yards, had 2 tackles, had a forced fumble, and he had a rushing touchdown. So Will Shipley had a really great game. Shout out to Will Shipley getting his moment, getting the touchdown in the playoffs. And now a really great game for the Eagles. They advanced to the Super Bowl, and they look dominant. So, and like I said, I saved some stuff for the end because now the Commanders didn't have a turnover all in the playoffs. In the game against the Buccaneers, no turnovers. In the game against the Lions, no turnovers. Today they had 3 turnovers. They had 4 turnovers actually. They had 3 fumbles and 1 interception by Jaden Daniels late in the game. But the game was over at that point, and they was really just trying to force it to get a touchdown, so it made sense. It's still a turnover, but they hadn't been this bad in the playoffs the entire run. Austin Eckler and Brian Robinson combined for 51 rushing yards. Jaden Daniels had 46 himself. It was either 46 or 48. But Jaden Daniels was a few yards away from matching the running back 1 and 2 combined yards. Now, Zach Ertz had a phenomenal game, 11 receptions, 104 yards. But some of the Commanders' offensive plays didn't make a lot of sense. Like, they went to, it's a receiver, I forget his name. They went to Jamison Crowder on a big play on a big third down. That's what I was thinking about. They did a run play with Austin Eckler when they're down 20 points already. Well, they were down 20 points already at this point. And I was just confused. Like, why would you do a run play at that time in the game? Like, all your plays should be pass plays. Then Terry McLaurin only had 7 targets in this game. Like, Terry McLaurin should get at least 10 targets. Even if you have to force it to him, 7 targets is crazy. He had 3 receptions, 51 yards, and a touchdown. He did have the one play where Quinyon Mitchell went over the top and got the interception. But only 7 targets for your best receiver, for your best player on offense, that's kind of ridiculous to me. And there was other times where they could have went to him, but either Jaden Daniels took a sack, and he was running around too much, or he was heavily covered. Like, I'm not asking him to have 15, 20 targets. No, that's not the case. And Zach Ertz had a phenomenal game. He did all that he could. But it's a star receiver. He should be getting at least 10 targets in the most important game of the season to send you to the Super Bowl. Then Jaden Daniels was 29 of 48, had 255 yards, a touchdown, and an interception. Jaden Daniels had a really good game. It's not too much. I don't have nothing negative to say about Jaden Daniels. He had a really good game. He was impressive. Obviously, they wish they would have came away with the win, but they got further than most people expected. So shout out to Jaden Daniels. He's going to be special. The Commanders are going to be special. But the Terry McLaurin thing, that got to be addressed. Then the play calling towards the end of the game, that got to be addressed as well. The Bills season was ended by a guy named Samaje. Buffalo, your season was ended by a guy named Samaje Perine. Are we serious? All right, the Chiefs won this game 32-29. Just gonna go straight into the ending, and I'll talk about the other stuff later. Josh Allen, 22 of 34, 237 yards, 2 touchdowns. Threw up a pass for shits and giggles on 4th and 5. James Cook, 13 carries. Don't know why he didn't get more. 85 yards, 2 touchdowns. He had a really great game. And Patrick Mahomes, 18 of 26, 245 yards and a touchdown. Xavier Worthy, 6 catches, 85 yards and a touchdown. And one of those catches wasn't actually a catch. But since it's the Chiefs, that is a catch. See, and that catch was actually really good in real time when it did look like a catch. But that clearly wasn't a catch, and it should have been overturned. And they should have been backed up a few yards. It obviously would have been a first down because of the flag. But that's a bad call. And then the Bills went 3-and-out on the very first drive. And I was like, okay. Then Kareem and the Chiefs had a 90-yard drive that went like 12. it went about 12 plays, I think, and Kareem Hunt ended up getting a 12-yard rushing touchdown. Then after the first quarter, Kansas City was up 7-3, and it was looking like this is going to be a blowout because you had early fumble. Josh Allen fumbled early, but he was able to recover it, and it was just multiple mistakes made. And then Patrick Mahomes ended up having a fumble later in the game in what was a really weird handoff situation. And it was one drive when Xavier Worthy did get a touchdown, and Mahomes went 5 of 5 on that drive for Kansas City to go up 14-10. But the thing that really hurt Buffalo in this game was what they did to Damar Hamlin. Like, Damar Hamlin is actually really solid, and he's been great since he came back from that terrible injury that he suffered, that terrible scare he had a few years ago. And he's really great. But they had him on Travis Kelce, which wasn't working out. Like, he's just too small to guard Travis Kelce to cover him. Like, he shouldn't be on Travis Kelce in man coverage. And then they left him one-on-one with Xavier Worthy, who's the fastest receiver in the league, probably. Now, he's definitely the fastest receiver in the league. Like, he's not fast enough to keep up with him. And then really nobody is. And I expected Xavier Worthy to have a big game because I don't think nobody on the Bills can match Xavier Worthy's speed. And it was shown tonight as he burned multiple DBs tonight, had big plays. Like I said, 6 catches and a touchdown, over 80 yards. So he just had a really good game. And going into halftime, it was the Chiefs were up to 21-16 because the Bills tried to go for 2 after they got a flag and they weren't able to get it. Like, the play was just ran terribly. And if they just kicked the extra point, it would have been 17. Now, the Bills had multiple times where they could have kicked the extra points, and this game probably looks a little different. So now that they're down 3, they're really in a position where they want to get a touchdown to take the lead again and put the pressure on Kansas City to score because they don't want to go into overtime against the Chiefs. And then in the third quarter, Kansas City, they actually ended up punting twice, and Kansas City didn't punt at all in the first half, but they punted twice in the third quarter alone. But then the Bills, they go up 22-21 and go after the third quarter. But then the Bills, they have a turnover on downs to open the fourth quarter, and that leads to Mahomes getting the rushing touchdown. He gets it to Watson for a 2-point conversion, and Kansas City went up 29-22. Then the Bills were able to respond, and Josh Allen got the ball to Curtis Samuel to make it 29-29. And like I said, Xavier Worthy, he couldn't really be stopped, but they was able to hold them out the end zone. And then they kicked the field goal to go up 32-29. And then, like I said, towards the end of the game, Josh Allen, it was a 4th and 5, and he just threw the ball up for whatever reason. Like, it would have made more sense. Well, in that situation, he probably couldn't have ran. But, yeah, and it was a turnover on downs. But they still had time until their season got ended by a guy named Samaje. Their season got ended by Samaje Perine. And Samaje Perine is a good player. It's just funny that his name is Samaje, and that's got to end it their season. But leave a like on this video, subscribe to the channel, and comment what you thought. Eagles Chiefs Super Bowl, I'm already having flashbacks.